All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Caitlin Madison, Executive Director of Communications, Marketing, and Public Relations at ILTexas. We're very excited today to have our second episode of our information session with our student recruitment team. We're excited to have you join us. And if you're not joining us live, we're excited that you were able to take some time out of your day to watch this back and learn a little bit more about our school. We will have the comment box on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you have any questions or comments throughout, you can leave those there and we will address those at the very end. But without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to our recruitment team.
Good afternoon and welcome. We're glad you could join us for our second episode of discussing International Leadership in Texas. During our first webinar, we shared an overview of ILTexas, which you can find on the link on the ILTexas Facebook page. Today, we will be highlighting our multi-language acquisition system and our cultural component. Hello, ni hao, hola. We're glad you're here. Please take a moment to like the Facebook page at the top so you can get additional notifications for information. At any time, if you would like to screenshot any of the slides, please feel free to do so. And as Caitlin mentioned before, please, if you have any questions, add them to the comment box below and we'll answer it at the end of the presentation. Let's take a moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Manya Leach. I'm the community liaison for the Houston area. I'm also a parent of a student that is enrolled at the Katy West Park High School. This will be our 5th year of attending ILTexas, and we're glad you're here.
Hi, my name is Adriana Fletes. I'm Director of Dual Language Implementation in Secondary Spanish, and I'm happy to be here with you all today. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Nancy Salazar. I'm a student recruiter in the Houston area. I'm also a parent of 2 students that are in ILTexas middle school and high school here in the Houston area, and I'm excited you guys are here today.
Good afternoon. My name is Franklin Hernandez. I'm the student recruiter for the Dallas County area. I've been with ILTexas since it first opened back in 2013. It's a pleasure here to be with you today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mamie Murray. I am a Tarrant County area student recruiter. I've been with ILTexas for about 5 months now. I'm happy to be here and happy you all have joined us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Brown. I've been a teacher for over 20 years, 3 at ILTexas. And when the opportunity came available to transition to student recruiter, I was very excited because that meant that I could help even more families get an education at ILTexas, which I think is a privilege. So we're so glad that you're here to join us and find out some more about what we do for kiddos.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mayan Morgan. I am one of the student recruiters here in the Houston area. I've been with ILTexas for 4 years, starting as a teacher, then transitioning to community liaison, and now as a student recruiter. I'm so excited that you guys have taken time out of your day to share with us, to be with us as we share information for you. We look forward to seeing and talking with you later.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Stevenson. I serve as the student recruiter for the Bryan College Station area, and this is my 2nd year with ILTexas.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sergeant Major James Cully, retired. I'm one of the Marine Corps Junior ROTC instructors at the Garland High School campus. I'm welcome. I've been with the school for about 5 years. Thank you.
At International Leadership of Texas, we are guided by our mission. The mission of International Leadership of Texas is to prepare students for exceptional leadership roles in the international community by emphasizing servant leadership, mastering the English, Spanish, and Chinese languages, and strengthening the mind, body, and character.
La misión de ILTexas es preparar a nuestros alumnos para roles de liderazgo excepcionales en la comunidad internacional, haciendo hincapié en el liderazgo de servicio, el dominio de los idiomas inglés, español y chino, y el fortalecimiento de mente, cuerpo y carácter.
国际领袖学校 旨在于培养学生在国际社会中卓越的领导才能。我们强调，学生在熟练掌握英语、西班牙语和中文的前提下，加强奉献式的领导精神及身体、头脑和品德的锻炼。
The International Leadership of Texas School District actually encompasses 4 different geographic regions. You may have actually seen one as you drive through your community. They're beautiful buildings, very regal, long columns in front, and we're often mistaken for government buildings, but we're actually a free public school. This slide will show you our Houston campuses and College Station. We also have one in College Station. And take a minute to look at that. See if those schools are close to you. Quite a range of coverage down there. And then the next slide will show you the 12 locations of our DFW campuses. We have 26 schools serving K through 12, housed in 15 buildings, and we serve over 19,000 students.
Here's a brief video highlighting the International Leadership of Texas' first 5 years. Please enjoy.
On November 16, 2012, the State Board of Education approved the International Leadership of Texas as a new charter school. In August 2013, ILTexas opened with 2,500 students in Garland and Arlington, with 5,000 students on the wait list. ILTexas became the largest first-year charter in the state of Texas. In April 2014, ILTexas was approved as a student exchange visitor program to host international students on F1 visas, and students began living on campus. In June 2015, an expansion was granted to ILTexas to serve over 12,000 students after only 2 years in operation. In August 2015, ILTexas achieved an unprecedented sale of $111 million in non-rated bonds to purchase 4 campuses and received a perfect score on the state's first rating. In January 2016, ILTexas expanded into Houston with the addition of 2 K-8 campuses in Katy and West Park. In April 2016, ILTexas was designated as a Department of State Exchange Visitor Program, allowing the issuance of J-1 visas for language instructors. In June 2016, ILTexas graduated 100% of the first senior class from ILTexas Garland High School with 964 college credit hours earned. In August 2016, all ILTexas schools met standard and received 17 stars of distinction. In May 2017, an expansion was granted to ILTexas to serve 49,000 students throughout North, South, and Central Texas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adriana Fletes, and I have the honor of presenting to you today and sharing a little bit more about our trilingual model here at ILTexas. As we just shared with you, and as you saw through the video, International Leadership of Texas is a unique charter district. It is a public charter district, so students are enrolled in K through 12 programming. Parents apply, you enter into a lottery system, and cross your fingers that you're able to get off the waiting list and enroll your child full-time in our program. What makes us unique, as shared through the mission statement, is preparing our students for their leadership roles. Not only their leadership roles, but in the international community. And so everything that we do in ILTexas is looked at through the lens of the mission. The international leadership, the trilingual model. The expectation is that our students will graduate from ILTexas being able to communicate in listening, speaking, reading, and writing in Chinese, Spanish, and English. We also have the servant leadership component through our Others Before Self service projects. And so ILTexas will, every time we share information with you, know that the ILTexas mission will always form part of the presentation, because that is what allows us to meet our mission and demonstrate that it is mission aligned. So I do want to share with you that I have 20 years of experience as an educator. My personal journey started as a dual language student myself whenever I was in elementary school, and then later on transitioned into English as a second language. While I was in a dual language program, similar to our students, I learned the 4 content areas of math, science, social studies, and science through Spanish and through the English language. I've also just recently completed my 5th year of service in ILTexas, and I am so excited to form part of this family. Because of my personal journey and my professional studies, I know that through the work that I do, I'm able to advocate for bilingual education, world languages, equity for all students, and access to an equitable education, culturally responsive teaching so that we're not leaving any of our students behind, but ultimately allowing our students to be successful and allowing them to continue to meet their future plans and their dreams. So please join me as we explore our trilingual model. There are many benefits to an education. We know that education allows various doors of opportunities to open up for all individuals. A bilingual education provides additional benefits. For example, whenever you are a heritage speaker and you are communicating with your abuelita, your grandmother, your aunt and uncle in another country, you're able to not only continue that communication with them, but you're also able to learn more about your own culture, stories, your own customs. And for those students who are learning a language for the first time, it also allows them to start inquiring a little bit more about their own cultures and traditions, and making those connections between their own language and culture and that of their peers as well as their teachers. Because we do have teachers that are working with our students from many countries around the world, including China, countries in South America, Central America, and Mexico, as well as teachers here who are born and raised here in the United States, it by not chance, but by intention, allows our students to learn more about others' customs, their traditions, as well as their own practices. When a student is able to speak another language and also celebrate other people's cultures, it allows them opportunities to work in different job fields that they would have normally not have the opportunity to, because of the fact that they've learned not just one language, but 2 additional languages. It also allows students to potentially earn additional salary increases because of this background knowledge. Also, because students are learning Spanish and English, and not just conversational Spanish and English and Chinese, but academic language, it naturally causes the brain to learn at a higher level of function. Because the students are having to make those mental connections between what they're learning in Spanish and English, then the cognitive demand on the brain is much higher, which causes the students' cognitive ability to be higher, allowing them to perform at a higher rate than those students who are traditionally enrolled in a non-dual language or non-trilingual program model. The mission of ILTexas, as shared with you previously, is our target. And as we break it down, note that we are very strategic about the leadership opportunities, the social cultural competence, allowing our students to learn and produce language in the reading, writing, speaking, and listening components of language acquisition, as well as achieving high academic achievement. One thing that I'd like to clear before we move on is that the state requirement for education, that is the core content, the TEKS that are required for all students to learn here in the state of Texas, are the same for a charter district such as International Leadership of Texas. Everything regarding STAR testing, and as well as reaching the graduation requirements for them to graduate are the same, but we go above and beyond that, and we'll see that in the next couple of slides. In kinder through 5th grade, our students are enrolled in 2 program models. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, I've defined these for you. Dual language stands for dual language immersion. FLES is foreign language in elementary school. And then for secondary, it is LOT, languages other than English. So in a traditional ISD, you have students who are taking math, science, social studies, reading, language arts, and their special courses such as art, choir, and PE, for example, in English. Here at ILTexas, when students are enrolled in kinder through 5th grade, they are learning academic content, the state objectives in Spanish, and they're learning them in English. 10% of their day is spent in Chinese, where the students are acquiring the Chinese language through various techniques. In secondary, we continue with a traditional program model in that our students are enrolled in period academic courses such as math, science, social studies, reading, language arts, and leadership, as well as elective courses. However, there is a period for Spanish and a period for Chinese. We are extending our dual language program model into 6th through 12th grade programming. For example, in high school, the students are allowed to take art history in Spanish. And we're also developing additional academic content where the students will be able to take those courses in the Spanish language. But note that all of our elective classes, as well as the leadership class and in the entire school, the teachers and staff are promoting English, Spanish, and Chinese. And so students are constantly exposed to all 3 languages outside of their classroom, including whenever they're out in their communities and working on service projects or other special events. Our K-5 dual language two-way model is defined as a 50-50 model, where students receive instruction in all subject areas in both Spanish and English. Notice the color coding system. So this is an instructional strategy that we use whenever we're labeling things around the school and projecting information. Spanish is represented in red, English is represented in English, and then Chinese is represented in black. Our focus is on the development of language and all of its components, as well as the very important component of interculturalism. And we do this strategically, and the recruiters will speak a little bit more about this. It is an additive and enriching educational model because we are not only teaching the required content, but we're doing it through the Chinese, Spanish, and English languages, and also the other components of our trilingual mission. Both languages are valued equally, which means that the students will receive or they'll have access to books in Spanish, English, and Chinese. They'll receive the instruction in English, Spanish, and Chinese. But also our teachers have the opportunity to also learn skill sets that help them better prepare their students. Teachers do provide a low risk, high supportive learning environment where second language acquisition strategies are utilized to help students understand and learn. So as parents, I'm sure you have some questions. So I'd like to address those in the next slide. If you're wondering, how is it that my student who does not speak Spanish at home or Chinese at home, how are they going to be successful and how are they going to learn? So we know that students can enter our K-5 dual language program at any time during those grade levels. Our teachers are receiving professional development and are able to receive training within ILTexas by our staff, as well as from experts in the field who are recognized internationally, like Dr. Krashen, who is the author of what is called comprehensible input. So in order for what the teacher is teaching to be comprehensible to the student, ultimately allowing them to learn the content, but also produce the language, then the teacher needs to provide or utilize different strategies. For example, we use the color coding system. We use visual representations, including drawings and simplified language. There are books in Spanish, English, and in Chinese. The teacher is strategically modifying the rate in which they speak so that it is slower, more simplified. And as they are speaking, they're using visuals and gestures, as you may see I'm using now whenever they're speaking, and that's called TPR. But also the students are also engaged in various activities throughout the class period. They're working with their peers, they're working in groups, they're collaborating, they're thinking out loud, they're having conversations, they're writing, and they're also able to bring in their own perspective and understanding of the world and the knowledge that they're acquiring whenever they're exploring in this new learning environment. So rest assured that our teachers are here to provide them with all of the support that they need in order for them to be successful. Behind the screen are examples of some of the strategies that you see within our classrooms. For example, we have the labels, we have signs in the hallway, student work displayed in Spanish, English, and Chinese. We have the libraries, we have the word walls so that the students can reference both content and language on the walls. And then we also publish, which is something really unique to ILTexas, we publish what is called an expression of the week, which is shared through our Facebook, it's shared through YouTube videos. So not only are the students learning and acquiring language, but also the students and the families are doing so as well. So you're in for a treat, and we have so much more to share with you. So please do reach out to us. When I referenced earlier that the requirements for ILTexas are the same for any ISD, that includes our grades. So we are monitoring students' language proficiency, ensuring that the students are growing in all three languages year after year. But also we have in-house benchmarks and assessments that allow us to determine whether the students are meeting their academic goals throughout the school year. So all of this information is shared with the parents through our reporting system. So you will always be able to track and monitor your students' both language and academic growth. Here are some examples of how we are able to monitor the trilingualism, triliteracy, and high academic achievement. Our language proficiency organization would be ACFL. ACFL is the overarching body that we all utilize in order to determine our students' language proficiency. Our teachers are monitoring this and reporting this within the Skyward system. The students can be rated from novice low all the way to advanced mid. Usually the superior and distinguished would be left for people who have a high academic vocabulary and study in, as a doctor, for example, you have a specialization in medicine. So that would be that level of academic language. But for the most part, our students will grow from novice low, which is absolutely no language or very little, to advanced levels, which you will achieve in both middle school as well as high school. So we have opportunities for students to extend their learning of the languages as well as the content through iStation, Raz Kids, STEM Scopes, and Envision Math for core content. Our students are enrolled in dual credit courses at the high school level with local colleges, as well as enrolling in advanced placement courses where they will receive college credit upon successfully passing the tests. Our students do take the SAT and ACT and receive support from high school staff members who prepare students for those standardized tests. And then the other component is that in 3rd, 5th, 8th, and 12th grade, our students do take an APPLE exam, which allows us to document their official language proficiency. And of course, those reports will be shared with the parents.
Thank you, Adriana. At ILTexas, we embrace interculturality. It is very important for us as a trilingual school to also give the families and the students an opportunity to celebrate culture and heritage. So we have 4 cultural celebrations throughout the year. We begin in the month of September to October the 15th with the Hispanic Heritage Month, which is when we recognize and highlight the achievements and contributions and influence of Hispanic Americans to the heritage and the culture of the United States. We also have other celebrations that we do that are not related to culture, but that are very important for us, for our children to know about, being the Veterans Celebration that we do, where we celebrate those who have and are serving our country. We also do a Thanksgiving celebration, as you see there in the picture, for our little ones. They bring their lunch and they sit in the long hallways and they talk about the history about Thanksgiving and why we celebrate it. We also have, after the Hispanic Heritage Month and the Veterans Celebration, we have our Lunar New Year, which is our Asian celebration. And it is the beginning of the new year on the traditional Chinese calendar. And this is very important to us as it is one of our 3 languages that we teach our families and our students. So we are taking a morning on a Saturday morning. We have all our families and our students come. Our teachers and our staff are engaged. And our children are doing presentations for their parents in Chinese. And they also do martial art presentations and things like that. So it's very, very neat to see how the students and the families enjoy this celebration. And this one is celebrated in the end of January, beginning of February. At the entire month of February, we do the Black History Month celebration. And this is when we remember important people and events in the history of African Americans, and we recognize their central role in the US history. Our students do a lot of projects with their social studies class or their English class, and parents come to a special event in the evening to see their presentations. Then in April, May, we have our International Festival, which is our last cultural event that we do with our families. And this one is where our families all come together from different cultures and they set up a booth. They may have food they want to share with the families, and it is an incredible, incredible thing to see. It is open for all our families to do presentations on the stage, for our students to do presentations. Our Spanish class teachers get very involved as well and do presentations for the parents. So these are very fun moments for our students, and they're learning at the same time. We do have our students participate in other academic events that get them involved in world affairs. So for instance, we have the Student World Affairs Council, which is for high school students to engage in local and international topics. And then this helps them and prepares them for future careers and goals. And the other thing we have been part of is the National Chinese Language Conference, where our students presented, our orchestra played, and our students did a dance. as well as we have been part of guests actually at the Chinese consulate here in the Houston area. This was an event that we started out at the very beginning when the ILTexas opened here in the Houston area, and we did it again this year. So we are excited that these are all opportunities that we uniquely can provide for our families and our students at ILTexas.
Rhodes Scholars is an important component of ILTexas. We encourage students to have a hands-on dimension to what they are taught in the classroom. The trips are open for students to participate. There is a reduced group fee involved that can be paid out during the school year. Safety is number one at ILTexas. We have staff and parent volunteer chaperones. We'll be playing a short video of the 7th grade trip that I actually got to be a chaperone on when my son was in 7th grade. We jump on a bus and we drive around, and we go from, we went from Houston to San Antonio and the Alamo. Then we went up to Austin and visited the state capitol. Some kids, I think, that were on our trip had never been to the state capitol. So this is a good time for them to be able to see where our state laws are made. We visited the Alamo, got to tour around it. We went to Corpus Christi and had dinner there on the coast. And then we got to go over to the Lexington, USS Lexington, and tour the ship, which was a great hands-on experience. We also got to go to the aquarium there in Corpus Christi. We went to the Dallas Museum of the Kennedy Museum. We went to San Jacinto Monument in Houston, and we got to take a tour of NASA, which was a great hands-on experience. We also, during these trips, we visit local state universities such as A&M, SMU, UT Austin, UT San Antonio. It was a fun-filled trip. The kids had a great time, and now we're going to let Sergeant Major Coley talk to you all about the 8th grade trip or the U.S. history trip.
I'm going to talk briefly about the Rhodes Scholar trip for the 8th graders. In between their 8th grade and freshman year, I've had the opportunity to go on 2 of the trips, the trip in 2016 and the trip in 2017. It's an incredible opportunity for the young men and women to go to the nation's capital and to go to all the areas, especially on the Upper East Coast, to visit the historical sites. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip for a lot of these young men and women to be able to experience this trip. We can go ahead and start the video, please. Now you'll fly from the Dallas area to Washington, D.C. And at that point in time, you'll be put on buses, and the buses will take you around on a guided tour of all the different areas. Trip lasts anywhere from about 5 to 7 days. You'll go to areas like New York City, visit the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, be able to go to the 9/11 Memorial downtown New York City. It was a great trip, eating pizza on the street and having a great time in New York. You'll visit the U.S. Capitol. When we were there, we had chances to meet some of the U.S. representatives from the Senate and the Congress. Also chances to go to do the different Smithsonian museums in the area of the Washington, D.C. Arlington National Cemetery. Also chances to see the U.S. World War II Memorial, Vietnam Memorial. Also chances to go to the National Marine Corps Museum in Quantico, Virginia, to see the history of the United States Marine Corps. There's battlefield tours, Civil War battlefield tour of Gettysburg in Pennsylvania. The students will be able to go around and see the battlefield. Also Fort McHenry. Fort McHenry is where the battle of in 1812, national anthem was written. and the students will have a chance to help fold the flag at the end of the day. It's a huge American flag, and the kids really get a lot of hands-on with history at these different locations as they do the tour. Jamestown, Virginia, go to some of the first colonial sites that were established in the New World by the settlers. Yorktown, Virginia. There's a lot of reenactments. Williamsburg, the city of Williamsburg, spent a lot of time in old Williamsburg, seeing the way the settlers lived and how everybody lived back in the beginning. Go to the house of George Washington in Mount Vernon. Also go to Monticello with and once again, great opportunity for young men and women and the parents to go as chaperones. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk to you about our international trips. In 7th grade, again, you learned that our students take part of the Texas history trip, 8th grade US history. And then when you get to go to high school, they had the chance to travel abroad. All of our trips are planned, they're intentionally with not only keeping the language, but also the curriculum in mind. 7th grade, again, is Texas history, 8th grade US history. And then in high school, they take world history. So students are able to learn and practice language across the world. Remember, in order to learn a language, academic language, you must be able to speak it, listen it, write it, and read it. So when we go to our international trips, our high school students are able to have the opportunity to participate and be exposed to a Spanish or Mandarin speaking world. In the past, students have traveled to Mexico, Spain, Costa Rica, and China. I got the chance to chaperone the China trip. It was a great experience for me. I was a chaperone. Can you imagine the students? But during this journey, students are able to walk in the footsteps of history. They experience the art, they experience the culture, and the beautiful things that each country has to offer. The China trip was a month and a half long trip, and each of those trips vary depending on the time of the year that the students are able to go. So I want to focus a little bit on the Chinese trip, because again, I got to chaperone it. And as a first year teacher at ILTexas when it first started, I got the chance that to meet students at a younger grade level. And then I got to see them learn the language through the years. So remember, kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, our students are taking part of the Mandarin Chinese. And when I went with them to China, I was shocked to see how well they interacted with the locals and just the community there. In China, we have what we call sister schools. Our sister schools are basically schools that we send students to, and then they send students to us. And what we do is we take charge of showing them around when they come here, or vice versa. So in China, we visit 4 sister schools in 4 different cities. And even within China, you have a very rich culture that is very unique to every area, every zone. When it comes to food, art, even accents are very unique in each area. So the typical day in the schedule in China trip was that students was in a 7 to 5 p.m. schedule. And we will go to the schools, our sister schools, and in the sister schools, our students will take part of learning about the culture, writing, listening, speaking. Again, the 4 components of what it takes to learn a language in an academic way. Our students were partnered up with a host brother, host sister. So after the our schedule was over, our students and the chaperones went back to a host family. And from 5 all the way to bedtime, we were immersed in the true and real culture that China has to offer. Again, we were able to see difference in cultures within each zone. Within the schedule, we had field trip plans. They took us to bakeries, they took us to shopping, they took us to ancient cities, historical places. I mean, China has so much to offer. It's rich, very old history. and it was a very a learning experience for them and myself. So within the families, we had that whole weekend to hang out with them. They will take us to their places. Again, we will have our own field trips with our high school, with our sister schools, and we made very lasting relationships. I mean, even to the point that I still communicate with them. Again, that is allowing our students to have those connections when they graduate. They can go to China and have a home to stay. I still sometimes talk to one of the students, and they tell me that they still communicate with their host brother, host sisters back in China. And then the food in China, I mean, the food is so unique. It's just very, it has so many flavors that none of us students have ever tried. I mean, the typical American Chinese food is completely different than what China has to offer. Again, I was very amazed to see what the students learned through the trip. I think this is something that our students not only will use for their college applications, but it's an experience that it will forever be in their mind. They made the connections, they practiced the language. Even I don't speak any Mandarin, but I was able to learn a lot of words. One of the highlights of the trip was, of course, the Wall of China. It's a very ancient monument that we went to explore, and our students and ourselves. I mean, we took part of the whole day field trip, and we just had a lot of fun. And again, this is some experience that you don't get to have if you go by yourself. So I highly encourage if you get the chance to enroll at ILTexas, so students can experience firsthand our international programs. Thank you.
One of the other trips that is offered that the students have participated in is going to a Spanish-speaking country. The students have gone to Spain, Mexico. The last tour was in Costa Rica, where the students went to Costa Rica and enjoyed a 9-day adventure to be able to, once again, get that total immersion of practicing their Spanish skills in the country, hands-on. And also while they're there, they're actually able to get out and see a lot of the different beautiful things of Costa Rica, the different wildlife, the culture, the food, visiting with the people, and ultimately practicing their Spanish. So I'll show a real quick video showing some of the things that the students were able to do while in Costa Rica. Looks like we might be having a little bit of technical difficulties, but once again, another great aspect. Here we go. Now I think we're rolling. Videos are showing the visits in the jungle, zip lining, kayaking, all the outdoor activities that Costa Rica has to offer. Thank you.
And again, ILTexas really does provide your child with greater opportunities. ILTexas doesn't just believe in teaching the children what to learn, what they're going to learn, but they believe in creating experiences that will allow them to be able to use what they learn in real world type experiences. ILTexas provides them with a vast amount of culture, a vast amount of history and academics. And again, if you are looking for a place to send your child, ILTexas is the place to be, and the link below is where you can sign your child up.
Thank you all so much for attending our information session this afternoon and sticking with us until the end. You just heard a lot of great information from our team. So we invite you to take a moment to make note of your area recruiter for future reference. We're more than happy to support you by answering questions about our district and assisting with the application and enrollment process. Just keep in mind that we are here for you. Now we will move on to a panel discussion and Q&A session. Feel free to stick around to hear more from our team.
All right, thank you. Oh, I think Jay, I think you're muted.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions for our panelists. Caitlin, can you go and what questions have been asked?
Yeah, I think I've seen, let's see, I've seen some questions. Adriana, maybe you can answer this. From parents who are wondering if they bring their child into ILTexas later, maybe as an older student, maybe in high school or later in middle school, if they'll have trouble catching up with the dual languages. Maybe they're not a native Spanish speaker, or obviously, you know, not a lot of kids speak Chinese on a regular basis. So what would you say to those parents?
Great. For secondary, I mentioned the Apple exam. So when it comes to secondary and they're assigned to a Spanish class or a Chinese class, if they don't have any Spanish or Chinese background, then they start at the novice level classes. So based on their background, even for heritage speakers, they don't just automatically go straight into the advanced classes. We assess them as they are enrolled so that we are meeting their needs and causing less frustration on them. So yes, we do assess students and place them accordingly. And then for K through 5, they are enrolled with all other students, but as shared with you, the instructional strategies, the comprehensible input that the teacher is utilizing, and having the support of also instructional coaches on the campus will facilitate the students having access to the content, even if they're starting off at an older age.
Awesome. And then I think another common question we get is about the uniforms, and if there's any assistance for families who maybe can't afford uniforms or just need a little bit of extra help. So Manya or maybe Amy, do you guys want to maybe answer that question?
Actually, that's one of my pet projects, because I want everybody to take advantage of what we offer at ILTexas, and we don't want a uniform to be an impediment to that. So we have several things. We have agreements with academic outfitters that provides our uniforms for students. We also have a clothes closet on one of our campuses, and a lot of parents will donate uniforms that their kiddos have outgrown. And so we have a place that we are able to access that. Manya is one of our community liaisons. We have another one in Dallas, and then also for Fort Worth, and they also have access to resources to help our families with that. And there's even some buy-sell trade groups on Facebook that are families that we can refer you to on that way. So we offer a lot of wonderful things for students, and we're not going to let a uniform keep you from having your student attend ILTexas. So certainly reach out to any of us on the panel or me personally, Amy Brown, but we will help you get that taken care of. We want your family at ILTexas, and that's not going to stop you. Thanks for the question. That's a good question.
I also want to mention as well for our referral program. So for families who join us, if they refer another friend or another student, and they put if that person puts their name on the application when they apply to join ILTexas, they will, and that student applies, enrolls, and is officially a student at ILTexas, they will receive a voucher for $100. And some families use that voucher directly for uniforms. Some of them will split it up and use it for a Chromebook fee or one of those great trips that we talked about. They'll put some of that money toward that, and sometimes they'll split it up so that they can help with their uniforms in that way as well. So it's a great way to help connect new people with ILTexas, but also get a little something out of it so that you can maybe there's an extra jumper or bow or something that you want. It's a great way to make that little extra splurge happen. So that's the majority of the questions that I've seen. So I think we're good to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. We will have this video saved on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can come back and watch anytime you want. You can also continue to leave questions down below, and we will monitor those and we will keep answering those. We're excited to really continue with these to help families learn more about ILTexas. Every time we do them, we're going to try to bring on a new subject matter expert. I want to give a special thanks to Adriana for joining us today and talking about our dual language programs. It was wonderful to have you. So yes, feel free to reach out with any questions, and we look forward to welcoming all of you into the ILTexas family.
Thank you. Adios.
Bye-bye, take care. Adios.